This is the Indecisive Cinema. I am your co-host, Carlos Hernandez, and the man of the hour,
Jeremy Knight. I'm not the man. He says that every week.
Yeah,
I'm just the co-host.
Well, we're both co-hosts, but he's the man. He's the one who created this. And we are here with our 4th episode, which is chock full of nuts. He says it's going to go short, but I don't think so.
We'll see.
We
do have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we got movie news, a couple of directors here, a couple of movies here, and some TV stuff. So, and the Netflix list for January. So
got a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
we'll cover most of the news a little quickly. I think we'll see.
You think so?
Just depends.
Well, let's see. We got a lot of nerdy news today. Are we starting off with
your cup of tea? No, I'm nerdy too.
Yeah, well,
I'm just as excited about a couple of these.
Yeah, you jumped on Star Wars quickly, so I guess we'll start off with the Star Wars. I
don't normally care about Star Wars news.
Well, I mean, we had that 2 episodes ago. We talked about.
I mean, I'm excited for the movie. Don't get me wrong.
Both of us.
I'm really excited for this, but I'm not living on and breathing on every single bit of news that comes out about the subject. But today they announced that 2 or 3, I think, stars from the movie The Raid 2, which was a foreign film that came out earlier this year. It was on my top 10 list. Great movie, great action film.
We mentioned it last week.
Yes, we did when we did our top 10s. 3 of the stars from Raid 2, though, are now in the new Star Wars film in roles that they haven't announced, of course. There's lots of... they're keeping a lot of that stuff at bay, not letting people know.
And if you guys have Facebook, you know how they comic book source news, movie pilot news, they all have announced it already. One of the ones I saw showed the lead actor of Raid 2 in and I say Sith only because it was drawn black, but it could have been brown garb. Not to say he's the Sith with the Crusader's lightsaber, but I just saw that image and I thought that was awesome. I was like, can't wait to see this now. It's getting more exciting.
And is that the main character from the Raid?
Yeah,
the guy who's also the
cop. He's the one they showed him, and
he also does all the choreography for the Raid films as well. He's the main character, and he's one hell of a choreographer. Yeah. I mean, those films are just incredibly well choreographed.
We always talk about Raid 2 over that.
Raid 2 is all. I mean, both of them. I highly recommend both of them, and he's excellent in both of those films.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what he does.
I can't wait.
I hope he's playing a bigger role in it.
If he's the Sith, that would be genius.
I can't imagine though, them casting him this late. I can't imagine that he's a main character.
The main character.
Who knows?
But it just
unless they've kept it under wraps for a while.
Exactly, and or it could lead into. I mean, like I said, we don't know much about the plot, so I mean, I'm kind of excited. I mean, because we don't know what 17 years after Return of the Jedi will give us. So there could be a lot more Sith. There could be a lot more Jedi. Who knows? But yeah, it was good. It was exciting to see him and the concept art of him in the whatever robe and whatever he was holding. Wasn't a saber in the thing, but.
It would be an awesome thing for him to be on every action film from here on out. Not necessarily as a character, but at least as a choreographer. Like, get him in some more action films. Let's have him do some more stuff.
And it's
that man
interesting
needs to work.
Because Ray Park was the Kung Fu Ninja Darth Maul in the first one, so this guy might be that kind of guy too in this one. So
which would be awesome.
That'd be good. Yeah.
I mean, all the news coming out of the Star Wars stuff has been pretty awesome.
He's been. I say he. I keep saying he, but it's J.J. Abrams.
He's the god of Star Wars.
Yeah, I keep mentioning he and thinking George Lucas, but it's he, J.J. Abrams.
This is interesting.
And he's smart because J.J. Abrams is a nerd like us, and he likes to release little tidbits that have blown our minds each month. That he'll release something. So I'm excited.
It's all good stuff. Yeah, I can't complain at all. Yeah. And I guess we'll move on to earlier this week, the Ant-Man teaser trailer was released. I know nothing about Ant-Man, to be perfectly honest. It's like a minute-long teaser trailer.
If that,
Yeah, so there's not a lot to say about it. I mean, I didn't even know this film had a director. I mean, once Edgar Wright dropped out,
Oh, okay, yeah.
This film's had so many issues with just casting and direction.
I just think you
not so much casting.
Edgar Wright dropped out because you love Edgar Wright.
Exactly. I kind of stopped giving a crap after that. I do like Paul Rudd though a lot.
So do I. Michael Douglas.
Yeah. So it's got a good cast. I mean, I don't care about it that much. I mean, the teaser looks fine.
Yeah, the teaser was like non-superhero. I mean, they keep showing when you see it on Facebook that it has the helmet and it says full garb, but you see that a millisecond. I mean, you don't even see that long to really jerk off or care. And I think and then
unlike the Star Wars, that's a teaser trailer.
It is. But it's he says Ant-Man. Make a long story short, I don't think any writer. I mean, Robert Kirkman, the writer of The Walking Dead, took it over about 3 or 4 years ago. it wasn't that good anyway. But bottom line, I mean, again, Ant-Man as a hero when Edgar Wright was doing it was interesting. Mm-hmm. I think I cared about it then too. I agree.
Let me look and see.
I forgot. Yeah, if you look it up, it tells you who it is. It is another famous dude doing it. But again,
they had to get somebody good after Edgar Wright dropping out. I mean, that's a hard seat to fill.
Definitely.
Let's see who it is. It's Peyton Reed.
Oh my God, the Scooby-Doo
directed Yes Man and The Breakup and Bring It
Scooby-Doo.
On.
Did he do Scooby-Doo?
What is that?
Oh my God, that is kind of crazy. But I mean,
that's weird.
Hold on, let me get the Bring It On. The Breakup is
apparently they ran out of people to get for this.
I love
this darn movie. Man, they're trying
Upright
hard.
Citizens Brigade.
So I think especially with that, like, I mean, I can't imagine they have a lot of movie.
Well, if you look at it, it's very comedic.
I mean, the Edgar Wright thing happened only a couple months ago. I mean, I can't imagine that they're like halfway through shooting. So we have this teaser trailer. Maybe they are. Maybe he dropped out midway. I don't know. But yeah, I don't understand the whole minute-long teaser trailer. It's one thing for like something like the Star Wars. That's perfect. It's like a minute and a half though, or it's a little bit longer, and we get a lot. We get a lot of stuff in that minute and a half. Whereas this though, it's just a couple of people walking. It shows you everyone who's in the movie. Yeah. I do like the guy who's from House of Cards.
Greer's in it.
Judy Greer. Like that's a good casting. I mean, for the most part. Michael Pena. I love Corey Stoll though, who was in an episode of Homeland this season.
He's very
in
good.
House of Cards. He's an outstanding actor. I mean, I really love him in House of Cards. I hope he does more. So I'm excited to see him in that. But I mean, that's pretty much all the teaser is literally just showing us who's in it, which you could do with an IMDb search. Like,
and then there's no there's no superhero images in it. Yeah. That millisecond shot of the helmet, who cares? Yeah. I mean, I've seen it a billion times.
And it was a big deal when the teaser came out. I was like, I don't know that I care.
Yeah, I didn't
a lot of people were disappointed by it, and we're not the only ones.
I mean, that
little haters of this teaser trailer, but man, it's just not impressive. And they do it with everything though now.
Yeah, I know.
The Avengers one, they've done I think 1 or 2 teasers for that. We're gonna break the cell phone rule every week. I promise you. That's going to happen every week.
That's my fault.
One of us. It was last week was my bad. Yeah, this week is yours. But yeah, that's going to happen. So,
but did you remember the footage from 2 years ago that supposedly Edgar Wright did?
Oh, no,
that showed a long corridor, 2 bad guys, and then you see like the Ant-Man running, and then he comes big, knocks their heads together.
That's awesome.
Jumps in the camera.
I wish that was in the teaser trailer.
And then we have that image that they showed for a millisecond. That they said Edgar Wright did, but again,
so he must have worked on some of the.
Yeah, he did do a lot of. Yeah.
So he did a lot of work for this.
Yeah.
It sucks though; it was just a waste of time. I'd rather he could have made a whole film in the amount of time he spent on that if he did at all. I'd rather see that, but yeah, I don't know.
I agree with you with that.
Anyway, we'll move on. Earlier this week, a bunch of people. This keeps popping up on my timeline. That's why I decided to talk about it this week. I mean, it was not an announcement, but it was part of when Sony got hacked. A bunch of news came out about potentially Idris Elba playing James Bond. Yeah. And I think this is an amazing choice for James Bond.
I do too. I like it.
But the internet doesn't think so. And there's articles being posted about how
this is about the Black Stormtrooper.
Exactly.
Again. Oh my
this is
God.
worse though, because this is more personal.
Yeah, I know.
I do love the Black Stormtrooper. I love him in Attack the Block.
Attack the Block,
but this hits home. Idris Elba was one of my favorite black actors that's working right now, and he's a fantastic British actor as well. Luther's a terrific show. So I mean, he's doing some great work. So I'm all about that. I mean, especially from something like Luther. I mean, he can handle that like leading role.
Definitely.
And then he also has the charisma though from something like Prometheus to be able to kind of carry that. He is a little older than what we normally get from most Bonds.
Yeah, well, he's in his 40s.
Or at least older. He's got he posted a photo on Twitter about it in response. He's like, I thought James Bond was supposed to be attractive.
Oh,
and it's it's an awful photo of him.
A lot of my friends.
He posted it though.
They love him. I mean, a lot of my friends, my female friends.
Oh, he's a good-looking dude.
Yeah, he's so good. I would love to. So, I mean, he has his fans. I mean, he's a good-looking guy.
Well, I'm a fan. I mean, I think he's a good-looking dude. He's just an older. He's an older Bond.
We like his acting. We like his acting more than his look. That's what
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Jeremy.
No, I mean, I'm disappointed that the internet has taken this so
it's ridiculous.
hard. I mean, like I mean, some people obviously there's people that are like, Of course, that sounds like fantastic.
Yeah, when they announced it, I was like, "Hey, that's cool." But then, I don't even know if it's 100%.
People just can't get over the fact that the idea of having a black James Bond. And somebody said it's like it doesn't. The race isn't important. It's just the fact that he's British. Now, if he was not British, that would be a problem.
Agreed.
And it would not have anything to do with race. I mean, if they cast an American black dude to play, freaking Will Smith or somebody like that, we would have issues with that. Not but he is British. He accomplishes that aspect. He can do the spy stuff. He has the charisma. I don't understand. It's baffling to me.
Like I said, if you want to say it's not about racism, it's about stupidity. People are just used to certain things. Already Daniel Craig's in 3 Bonds, 4 Bonds. It's like same thing with Sean Connery.
Just getting better.
Sean Connery, and he leaves, and then everybody's mad at Roger Moore. I won't even add George Lazenby because he only did 1. Then you got Roger Moore, and he leaves. Then you had this kid from Timothy Dalton, which everybody hated. And then finally Remington Steele took over, Pierce Brosnan, and he was there for a while.
He had some of the worst Bond movies.
Serious. Roger Moore, I think, had the worst. But there's
been a lot of bad Bond movies over the years.
There has.
I haven't seen all of them, to be honest. There's so
I'll be honest, I
want the box set though, because I would watch that. Like if I had that box, the James Bond box.
But because I told you, I'm not a Bond fan. I've never been a Bond fan. I think I saw Moonraker because of the whole Star Wars element of it, which was cheese. But other than that, I think the only one I saw after that was View to a Kill because of Duran Duran. My love for Duran Duran.
I think Skyfall is a huge.
I
like Casino Royale though as well.
The first one that they came out.
Great movie.
And I have Skyfall. It's in my queue. I've been dying to see because of your recommendation. Your recommendations are getting better, but. Again,
recommendations are getting better.
I'm assuming, but that's the only one you like. Then Skyfall.
I like Casino Royale and Skyfall. Yeah, those are my 2 favorite. A lot of people agree with that. Some people didn't like Skyfall, but
I think Solace I heard was the worst.
Oh, it's not good. It's not terrible. It's not awful, but it's just not good. Especially coming off of Casino Royale, everybody was kind of expecting more. And then Sam Mendes took over for Skyfall, and then now Spectre, I believe is which cool title. I like.
Yeah,
that.
I like the little tarantula.
I don't think Roger Deakins is returning though for his cinematographer, which is kind of disappointing because I think Skyfall. Part of what makes Skyfall so good is just the overwhelming visual style. Yeah, the visual, it's a great looking movie, and so I don't know. We'll see what happens with that, but let's see a little Idris Elba James Bond.
I'm all for that. I go for it too. I give him that thing. I guess we can move on with that. But I guess the last question is Daniel Craig done, or is this just like?
I think he said a couple times that he didn't. I think he's contracted for at least one. At least for Spectre. I know that, but. I don't know about after. It's been talked about for even after Casino Royale. It was talked about that he might not return. So
I got you.
It's up in the air, but
all right.
And then so this opening this week, we've got in theaters. We've got at least wide. Obviously some of these movies have come out earlier in LA and New York. Yeah. We live in Houston, Texas. It's the worst city for film in terms of us getting to see these movies. Yes. So opening this week is Taken 3, which. Who cares at this point? I will give it some credit though. It is a better trailer.
Yeah, the trailer is a little better.
Than at least 2 though was just one of the worst films I've seen in a long time. No, it's not one of the worst films I've seen in a long time, but it's pretty damn bad. And so nobody gives a crap about Taken 3, but the trailer at least they're doing some interesting things.
I agree.
So whatever. And then Selma is coming out, the new Martin Luther King movie. So we'll.
What have you heard about that?
A lot of people love it. It's on some people's top 10 list for last year. So obviously, we couldn't see it. There was no way for me to watch it ahead of time. That one didn't come out on demand or anything like that. No? It's a big release, so they took their time with it, and so it's coming out this year. It'll be considered in this year's Academy Awards, I believe, though.
Yeah.
So technically, it's 2014.
Got released.
So
when I was in New York, I saw it in some theaters.
At least wide though, it's being released this week. I think it'll be a huge success, though. It's an easier film than something like 12 Years a Slave, but there's still I think it'll be really popular in terms of it's got a good political message to it, good racial message. So I think we'll see what happens, but I think it'll be fairly popular.
I do want to see it. I do.
It's shot really well. The performances are apparently very good.
Is it black and white, or am I
just
mistaken? Okay, that's just okay.
But yeah, it's and then so and then we still don't have Inherent Vice, which I don't understand. I mean,
I can't believe it. I thought it got released already.
And I mean, I do know, like, because of a lot of the criticisms of the film, it might not get as big of a release as it was once anticipated. But like us not get. I mean, I'm assuming we'll get it eventually. But come on, it came out like it came out like December 12th or something, like almost a whole month ago. And we still don't have it. I don't know what the deal is. I've looked everywhere because I'm a huge fan of Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, of course.
I actually have read some of the book, so I definitely want to see. I want to see it, but we don't have it. So yeah, Taken 3 and Selma are really the big two that are being released this week. And then also, there's a lot of new, like with the new year, there's a lot of new additions to Netflix. We've got they added a bunch of stuff. Some of it's already been added, but they released a list for like the next month or two. Notables on this Election, which we talked about last week, is now on Netflix.
Good.
And then one that was on my top 10 list, Frank, which I've watched a couple times now, is going to be on there the 8th of January. And then we have Dark Skies, which is not a recommendation by any means, unless it's a terrible movie, but it is laughably bad in a way that's terrific.
That's right. You're the one who went to see it in theaters, right?
Yes, we went and saw some other movie and walked out, and then we were like, let's go make fun of Dark Skies. So we went and made fun of it, and it was a blast. So I'd fully recommend it as a bad horror film. And then another one that I'd fully recommend as a terrible movie is Batman and Robin, which is on Netflix now for I don't know how long, but it'll be up there soon if it's not up there already. Batman and Robin is one of my favorite bad movies.
Yeah, I know you're saying
it's amazing.
It's horrible.
And then good movies though we've got like Frank and Election, and then the Trip to Italy, which is the sequel to The Trip with
with what's his name? Gervais's boy.
Oh my gosh, I'm going totally blank. And I've seen a lot of stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what are their names?
Right? The Trip. Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the first Trip. I haven't seen the second one. It made a lot of people's top 10 lists. I'm assuming it's pretty good. The first one wouldn't be like a top 10 contender for me, but it's a nice little movie with a lot of good scenes in it. It's a good little road trip, British road trip movie. So I'm excited about the second one.
It got really good reviews. I remember when it came out. Yeah.
So I'm all for that. And then one of my all-time favorites is Mystic River. Clint Eastwood's movie. That's on Netflix now.
Very good movie.
I'd highly recommend it. And then we also have Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which is one I have not seen, but I've wanted to for a long time.
Is that the one with Gary Oldman?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's got Benedict Cumberbatch and just a bunch of really good. It was before he blew up.
Yeah.
Right before though.
A friend of mine recommended it, so I want to check it out.
That comes out a little later this month though, and then Chef, lastly, which is
with Favreau, right?
Yeah, and so it's his new film, which a lot of people liked. I totally missed it this year. It was smaller. We got it in theaters.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
It was never one I was like, I want to go see that. I just was waiting for it to catch it on Netflix or rent it. Yeah. So that is it for Netflix. There's a lot of other good stuff on there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for our news. I do want to say last week, actually, one of my favorite podcasters and favorite movie critics actually listened to our show. I don't know how much of it he listened to. He might have listened to 15 minutes and turned it off. I do know, though, he listened far enough to start. He messaged me on Facebook, actually. Dave White is his name. He's the co-host of the Linoleum Knife podcast with Alonzo Duralde. Dave White's a movie critic for movies.com, and Alonzo works for The Wrap, and he does What the Flick on YouTube and stuff like that. They have a great podcast, and where it's laid back, very similar to this. It's actually what kind of influenced this podcast to get made. It was one of the first movie podcasts I listened to hundreds of hours of just because I'd play it in the background while I was working on stuff, and it's just real laid back, and they don't really have an order to it. There's no structure, which is kind of what I like about it, though, because you get more banter and whatnot. So that's kind of what influenced this podcast, and so this wouldn't exist without Dave White and Alonzo. So Dave White, though, last week I tweeted him a link to our third episode when we did our top 10s, and I mentioned it because I mentioned one of his mannerisms, and when he talks about a movie being okay, he's just it's fine, and so I tweeted him. I was like, yeah, we mentioned you in this, and he actually messaged me on Facebook, and he was like, or he tweeted me back. I was like, I'm listening, and I was like, oh my gosh, cool. And then he messaged me back and asked me about, we mentioned the Doritos commercial, And so he went. He was like, "What's the Doritos commercial?" And I was like, "It's here's the link. It's a commercial I did. And you get to see my bare ass in it. No, not my bare ass, but." And so he went and watched it, and he was like, "Yeah, fat man represents," and all this stuff, and then he just started like telling me stories about all the stuff he's done. He's a great dude. Really, like he's a favorite film critic of mine for sure. Now he's my all-time favorite. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Nobody's that cool. Shout out to Dave White for being awesome. Hopefully you liked the podcast. Who knows if you listened to all of it, but it was good talking to you, buddy. Keep up the good work. And I guess with that we'll move on to our director of the week, Ben Wheatley.
Ben Wheatley.
I'm a self-proclaimed huge fan of his. I've mentioned it multiple times in the podcast. I mentioned it a billion times to Carlos, trying to get him to watch all his films.
Yes.
I've seen it. He's done 4 movies, starting with his first one in 2009, which is called Down Terrace. And then he did Kill List, which came out in 2011. Sightseers in 2012, and A Field in England, which came out like early 2014, really 2013 in the UK. Yeah. He's a British filmmaker, kind of known for starting a movie one way and it kind of moving into violent areas. He starts things as dramas and just kind of moves into horror. I think he's an outstanding. I think he's a really good director. I'm really excited to see what he does from here on out. So we're gonna kind of go over his filmography. You've seen 2 movies now.
Yeah, I saw Kill List and I saw Field in England. I will say this. One thing, and again, I'm not trying to.
Carlos has just watched these movies.
Yeah. Jeremy.
I think he'll see. He'll like Down Terrace a lot. He'll like Sightseers a
lot.
He hasn't seen those. So.
I watch Sightseers on Netflix, but Down Terrace is not. And the thing I liked about Kill List is like you said,
we'll get to that.
Interesting.
Later.
Oh, okay.
We're doing overall thoughts.
So overall thoughts is this. You recommended it, and I know you have a certain taste in film, and what I like about his movies is, well, no, again, you don't want me to do that. So I don't know. It's like I liked Kill List, and I liked it a lot. A Field in England, though, is another movie entirely, and I definitely need to see Sightseers.
I think you'll like Down Terrace a lot as well.
And then you mentioned that today. You said it was more of a straight up comedy, and that's good because when in A Field in England, there's a lot of funny one liners here and there that get lost.
British isms.
But I caught them, and that's good, and that's all that matters. But again, I don't know when you want me to talk about Kill List because I'll just say A Field in England was kind of slow. It's mostly an artistic film, and not that I hate artistic film. I just don't like artistic film that have no point. But there was some good imagery in there, and there was some good one-liners. But I will say that Kill List was my fave of the 2 films. And the good thing is that I could say this. It was very hammerish, too, which is good. Coming from England, pretty sure Ben Wheatley likes the Hammer films of the 50s to the 70s. And recently they just started making up like Woman in the Black. It was the first of the Hammer films now. Woman in Black 2 just came out.
Which no one cares about.
I guess not. But I mean, awful. That was the tone. It's like it opened up. You have this kind of dramatic film about a family, and you're like, all right, whatever. Then it went into the whole Hitman thing, which I was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. Then it turned into this like Wicker Man type film, and I was like, oh shit, what?
He's talking about Kill List, which is my favorite of his films. I guess we'll get into his individual films so we can kind of talk about these in more detail. In 2009, he came out with the Down Terrace, which is his debut feature. Really low budget. I don't know what the budget is exactly, but definitely a lower budget film. You can see it in just kind of the visual. As his filmography has progressed, he's become a lot more of a visual director, especially with Field in England. And Down Terrace is a lot more restrained in that regard because of the budget. There's some good stuff in there, but for the most part, it's a lot of lockdown camera work and just a lot. It's more script driven. It's a British comedy about a mob family that it stars the actual real life father and son, Robin Hill and Robert Hill. The father's played by Robert Hill, and they kind of, you never find out exactly like what form of mob they're involved in. It's it's like a lot of mob movies do that. You know that they're part of the mob, but you don't know exactly like what is it, drugs or is it like you never know for sure. And then kind of like basically the main character is the son, Robin, played by Robin Hill. His name is Carl. He gets out of prison, and they think that somebody in their group might have informed on them, and so the whole film is him kind of them trying to figure out who that is. It's a thing that's been done before, but it's done in a way that's it's very dark, and it's really funny. And unlike something like I just think Sopranos is probably the closest thing to it. There's a lot of bickering and family arguing and infighting and whatnot, and then the main character Carl finds out that this girl that he's been dating for a year while he was in prison is pregnant with his child, and with a really funny sequence where he opens up the door and he points at her belly and goes "fuck," and it's really funny. I'm a huge fan of this movie. I saw it today actually. I went and bought it on Amazon. It was like $10, and then you can actually stream stuff for free when you actually purchase the movie, which is awesome. Amazon, keep up the good work. We are not sponsored by them in any way, but I'm a huge fan of that. If I'm going to buy a movie anyway, if you let me stream it immediately so I don't have to wait 2 days to watch it, keep that up. That's awesome. And so yeah, anyways, it's just a really low budget, kind of like almost like in Kill List, like there's like it's like a domestic drama, but with more humor than in Kill List. And he does that bickering between couples and families really well, especially because these are actual family members that play the lead characters. The father actually kind of reminds me of Ray Fiennes in Bruges, like the whole like it was a fairy tale thing, like that. It just kind of plays like this silly, kind of almost a dimwit, not quite that stupid, but just not the brightest. He's getting a little older and he's kind of losing his way. And then it does have Michael Smiley, who's in most of Ben Wheatley's films, who I'm a huge fan of.
He was good. I liked him in Kill List too.
There's a scene where one of the characters, who's actually on Game of Thrones, I'm going blank on the name, he locks himself in a bedroom and they're trying to get him to come out, and like they don't want to break the door because it's Victorian glass, and like there's this a great sequence, and it's a really really dry British comedy, and I think it's a really funny movie. It takes about 10 minutes to kind of start. I think this is an issue that if I had to complain about Ben Wheatley, would be like all of his films do take a while to really characterize all of the people in the movie, but then once that happens, then he shifts it in tone and everything, and you get a lot of good character stuff, and because we've built that foundation, we get, even in this film, which is more of a comedy, some really genuinely dramatic moments between family members and some of that. It's really good. I could recommend this to almost anyone, other than just the fact that it is a really low budget movie, so it's like it's one of those, kind of has an asterisk by it. And a great use of music as well throughout all his films. The Sightseers in this would be similar in terms of like the soundtrack. It's a lot of kind of upbeat British folk and just weird obscure things from like the 70s and stuff like that. Like Are You Leaving for the Country by Karen Dalton is on the soundtrack for Down Terrace, and it's just like it uses things like that really well. So I love Down Terrace a lot. It's just another film I love from him. So then after that, he did Kill List, which both of us have seen. We're going to talk about that real quick. Carlos saw it for the first time today. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times. I show it to everyone because I love it so much. It came out in 2011. It didn't. I don't think it did well. It's not the kind of movie that needs to make a whole lot of money to be successful. But it was kind of it was under the radar. But it did play somewhat in America, and most people liked it. I think it's got like in the 80s on the tomato meter. So. What do you think, though, of Kill List? We can kind of get more in depth with
it. And again, and like I said, I liked it only, and again, because of the way it went. I like British film. I love horror film. I love the Hammer films. And like I said, it opened like a drama, which I was like, all right, whatever. And I sat through it. I was like, whatever. And then, like, the characters were well drawn out. I like the wife, and then you see the kid in the background. Michael Smiley's character, and then that chick that was with the long black hair, and I don't know if that was his girlfriend, wife, whatever.
It's just a girlfriend.
Girlfriend. Okay. Then when it went into the Reservoir Dog aspect, the hitman thing, that was fine. You assume this kind of supernatural bent because the dark haired woman did the little symbol behind his mirror.
Some cult type stuff.
Cult type thing, and he becomes very
the cover
violent.
of the movie is kind of this. It's this little. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a circle with like three. It's like a circle with like a TP drawn in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's got a Blair Witch intent. But
pulls
yeah,
the mirror off and draws it on the wall. It's pretty cool. I like that a lot.
And he becomes very violent in the missions they're doing,
they get asked to go and basically murder or assassinate some three people,
a priest,
and a priest, a
librarian.
A librarian is the name, and then
the Hunchback was the last one.
And you don't know what these are, and so like, it'll play a title card in between each like chapter,
which
and
is Pulp Fiction, which I thought was cool,
and it kind of with like a big music flair behind it, like and it kind of shows like it's kind of silly, and there's shots like where they'll get out of the car and they'll walk, and like this film does have some humor to it. Though.
It does,
it's really dark, but it's like there's a shot where they get out of the car and there's a big rainbow behind them.
Yeah, I dug that.
It's just kind of silly, but it's definitely it's his most serious film of all, I'd say. Maybe A Field in England. I don't know. I guess I would say this is his darkest for sure. You haven't seen all of them, but it's for sure.
The comedies,
And in Sightseers, there's lots of violence and even in his comedy stuff. But Kill List is one that goes a lot darker than that. I mean, there's some brutal violence involving like a hammer at one point. And there's a rough.
The librarian scenes, rough.
Yes, there's a, but I tell you what though, it's effective and
and deservingly so. And like I said, without giving anything away, what the librarian did or whatever. But yeah, I mean, when he started bashing again, something
with a hammer.
So I was just like, holy shit!
Yeah, it's rough. Damn. And all of his films have these like outbreaks of violence. And they're real quick, and it's like but they're graphic enough to like you don't need a whole lot of seconds. Yeah,
I was surprised
with like the leg and Field of England stuff. It's like it's almost silly, but it's like overly violent for like a really short amount of time. It's not some could say that it's over the top, and it is, but I think it doesn't hold it long enough that I think it's more effective because of that. Like if you got like a close up of like the head or of the whatever in all his films, it wouldn't be as effective as it is where it's just this brief outburst. And, I don't know what that was.
I accidentally pressed the trailer. I was trying to
for Kill List.
Kill List, yeah. So I scroll up.
I mean, it's a really, really dark film about some hitmen, and basically, like, there's this whole domestic drama in the first section of the film where this main character, there was an accident on this previous job, and you don't quite know what happened, and he's taken some time off work, and it's caused some financial issues, and so there's this bickering between him and his wife that's very brutal, just in terms of, like, it's not violent, but it's as close to violence as you can get with words, and that's something I think that from the tone of it, it's incredibly unsettling, I think, for most of the film, because there's just this tension throughout the whole movie, and it's not just in the dialogue and stuff like that. It's in the mannerisms, and like there's that scene at dinner with Michael Smiley that comes in, and they're all eating dinner, and you can just feel like this, like somebody's gonna drop like a passive aggressive line that just explodes. And that's one thing I really love about Ben Wheatley. He can make you feel uncomfortable. And Sightseers, I think, is another one where he does that really well. Just in terms of like the characters on screen are uncomfortable, and it makes you feel horrible. And throughout the film, I think that increases as the film gets darker and more gruesome, and then you find out kind of who they're supposed to go and assassinate, and it has an ending that's pretty messed up, and a lot of people want to talk. We're not going to get into spoilers on this. I don't want to spoil this film. I think it's it's outstanding, so I think we're gonna refrain from that. But it does have an ending worth talking about. I think it's somewhat confusing. I think the first time I saw it, not so much. It's pretty straightforward, but I think the ending is like one of the things like, oh, that's kind of strange. There's some stuff in the tunnels at the end. Oh, that was it. Speaking of which, because
you saw Session 9 recently.
Yes, it reminds me of Session 9.
And that scene, I got freaked out because I was
horrifying.
Very claustrophobic. Yeah, and there's two sides.
There's like lights from just like the top
of their hats and stuff like that. I was like,
darkness is something that can be used really well.
Definitely.
When you get just like sweeping shots of like a flashlight through into darkness and tunnels and stuff, it's done very well. There's a lot of shaky cam, and it's used effectively.
But it's used effectively,
it's what I mean. I think it's genuinely just frightening.
Yeah, the ending does get scary at the end.
And that's what I love though so much about it. It starts with this little domestic drama and then moves into straight horror by the end. But it's natural, I feel like. Especially on multiple viewings, I think it holds up. Just there's little hints at the violence that the violence of the film. There's little hints at it throughout the whole movie that are blatantly obvious. But by the end, so I think it warrants a second viewing. It's very good. I still think it's his best film. I like Down Terrace and Sightseers are very different movies in comparison to something like Kill List. But I think Kill List just succeeds in a lot of ways. So. And then so in 2012, it's like late 2012, he did Sightseers, which is a film starring Steve Oram, who plays Chris, and Alicia Lowe, who's she's a really popular British actress. Steve Oram's actually, I think both of them were in a lot of the Cornetto films. Steve Oram played like the police officer in The World's End, the one that stops them on their way into town. So he pops up in same with her. She popped up in Locke this year. Random films like that. I like that about British cinema. It's small enough that you see people over and over used again a whole lot. And then in the Harry Potter films, you have so many British actors that do that. And on Luther and stuff like Michael Smiley plays a character in Luther. I like that about, and same with Ben Wheatley. Ben Wheatley reuses people a lot. Steve Oram is also in. I think he's in A Field in England as well. I don't know. There's too many similarities between similar people between all his movies. He reuses people a lot. But Sightseers though is about this couple. They've been together about 3 months. They don't know each other that well. But basically, they decide to go on this road trip to visit all these museums and things like that, and that's why the film's called Sightseers. And they stop along the way. There's these places that they've chosen, like museums and different like cultural landmarks in England, and you get a lot of beautiful country along the way. And so she doesn't know him very well. And they've only been dating a couple months, and so she agrees to go on this with him. And she's kind of stupid. She plays a character that doesn't have it all together. And Alicia Lowe is who I'm talking about. Her name is Tina in the film. And all of a sudden, the movie takes a violent turn. And I'm not going to explain why or how. But Tony Way is the character who locks himself in the bedroom in Down Terrace. He's in a couple of Ben Wheatley's films. They run into Tony Way on a bus, and he litters. He throws trash on the seat next to him, and Steve Oram makes a comment to him about it, and it kind of sparks this whole thing. And the film gets really violent really quickly, and so they're on this trip, and basically they start murdering people, and Alicia Lowe has to deal with that, but she doesn't deal with it in a way that normal people would, and that's the premise for the film. I'm not going to go a whole lot further into it, but as the movie gets darker, I don't know, they go to places that are a little bit more remote as the film becomes more barbaric in nature, and there's all these. I don't know. There's all these medieval concepts in the film. The main character talks about how things would be 300 years ago, or how things would be back in the day. And you can tell that he's this character and this is Steve Oram, this character I'm talking about, Chris. You can tell that he doesn't want to live in the way that everyone else does nowadays. And so as the film moves on, they go to these more remote places, and the violence gets darker, and it all kind of fits in with the story, I think, really well. It's this only film that does this. Field in England takes place in one specific area the whole movie, and then Down Terrace is the same way. It's all in this one house, and Kill List has a couple different locations, but Sightseers is one though that the geography of the film kind of helps tell the story. And there's these great montage sequences of violence in it. The one of the ones earlier in the film in particular, I think, is really outstanding. There's this and he does this in A Field in England too, these cross-cutting between one character will be committing an act of violence, and then you have another character stepping on a broken china or something like that, and it all intercuts into this really violent, and through the use of music and just score and it gets really crazy, and it's really well done. And this is something Ben Wheatley does a lot that I love. And so that Sight Seers has a lot of that, and it has one of the best endings, in my opinion, of all of his films. It's hilarious and horrifying and dark and outstanding. So I would recommend Sight Seers as well. If you have to see one of his movies, I'd say Kill List, but Sight Seers it's his easiest to watch, I think. So and I think you like it a lot. There's really awful humor in it, like involving dogs and just there's all kinds of stuff. And one of the characters in Field in England, I'm going blank on his name, plays a character that like has this new invention that he's come up with, and it's like basically it attaches to a bike, and it's like a small carriage. It looks like a little, I think one of the characters refers to it as like an alien hive, and it's like this awful looking shell, and he sleeps in it and puts all his belongings in it, and it's really, really weird. But yeah, I like Sight Seers a lot. It's really well shot. It's it has more of a budget than some of his other, I think A Field in England and this, I don't know, I guess is like, after Down Terrace, they gave him some money, especially in Kill List. I mean, there's a lot of locations in that movie.
I can see. I'm looking at it here. I see all the different locales.
And so I like Sight Seers a lot. And there's a scene where Tina gets really upset and buys a giant pencil and tries to write a letter about why she's upset with this giant pencil. It's just like it gets silly like that at times too, while also being really violent and really dark. I think it's terrific. So. Like I said, I think all of his films are terrific. So it's just another one that he released that I love. And so I guess we'll move on to A Field in England, which is one that you've seen now. And it's one that you don't like.
I mean, again, because nothing really happens. I mean, it's very. You mentioned Lynchian, and there's a lot of Lynchian surrealism.
And that's the stuff that works really well, I think, in the film.
Do you think so? I mean, like, okay, they're in this thing, the field, and you have
that's the premise of the movie.
And hold on, what's the character's name who plays
Whitehead,
who is a priest, and he's a coward, and he's running.
He's off to find this person that his master has sent him to.
And
there's all this talk about his master and how his master is a great man, and he wishes he was like his master, and he's definitely a coward. It's obvious. And so he's going to try and find this person in this field in England, and there's talk of he runs into three other characters, lots of Ben Wheatley regulars.
Michael Smiley.
Yep. And they run in he runs into three other people though, and they form this. I guess it's three of them total. It's not three others.
Okay, I'm looking here. Jacob, and then Friend, Richard Glover, Cutler is Ryan Pope, Reese Shearsmith is Whitehead.
Because I think there's three of them, maybe not four. Yeah. Maybe I got that number wrong, but basically is it? No, it's three. We'll go with three. I might have gotten that wrong. I haven't seen the film in a while. You just saw it, so I don't know. But there's three good guys basically, and they make their way through the woods, or not through the woods, through this big field in England. They leave this battlefield. They're all running away from this battlefield in the beginning of the film. It kind of sets up how they come to be together as a group, and they camp and they move across this field, headed towards this tavern that they're going to go and drink in. And when they do it, they summon this sorcerer, basically. And he's not like it's sorcerer in like a really conservative version of the word, more of a realistic version of it. It's not a fantasy film. It's not like there's fantastical elements, but it's fairly grounded in reality. So it'd be like a warlock in the medieval sense of the word, though, like in like real, not in video game sense. He does witchcraft and things like that. Played by Michael Smiley, who's I think is fantastic in the movie. And so they run into this guy and they summon him in a sequence that's very bizarre. Where they're all pulling on this rope, and Michael Smiley appears, and then they try and find this. Michael Smiley wants to find this treasure in this field, and he uses the three of them to do that. And I like it a lot. It's not my favorite of his. Obviously, you don't.
Again, like I said, I mean, the story that you just said is there, but it's not. The treasure comes up once. Again, I mean, like it is like I caught the jokes which was good, but it's like you have to really be listening. And with all the visuals of, this beautiful scenery in England out on the fields, shot in black and white again, it just, it didn't capture my attention mostly. But again, like I said, the performance from Michael Smiley is good. The one who plays Whitehead was really good. Like I said, Julian Martin, they keep putting him as Trower, but he doesn't look like himself in the movie. I mean, when you see it. But he's good in it, for the opening.
He's in it for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, so he's really good in it.
I don't know. He's like a top-billed cast, too. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. He literally is. He's like number one.
This movie only has like 6 people in the whole film.
In the whole film. So
this is another one written by Ben Wheatley. Writes a lot of his films.
Amy Jump. I want to look who Amy Jump is.
Yeah, I think it's his writing partner.
His partner, right?
She also did Kill List and Sightseers. And
yeah,
she didn't do Down Terrace though.
No, she did not.
So she's been a part of his team for a while. Ben Wheatley, he's uncredited in this. Amy Jump is the one that's actually credited as writer for this film. Ben Wheatley though wrote. I think he's been a part of the writing aspect of all of his films for the most part.
Agreed.
Even if they're not fully credited to him. It's one of the first films that's not edited by the main character of Down Terrace. Let me go look that up. I'm going blank on it. Oh, it's Robert Hill? Yeah. Robin Hill, sorry. Robin Hill is the main character of Down Terrace. He's also the editor of his first 3 films. So he edited Down Terrace and Kill List and Sightseers. So A Field in England is the first film that wasn't edited by him. So it's a different film in terms of it's his first film that he had kind of a budget for, and it seems like he wasn't able to hire all of his friends for this one. Even though it's totally an art house film, I think Sightseers would be the film that you could pitch to people, in terms of getting a release. A Field in England was not like destined for theatrical run. I mean, ever. I can't imagine. It's not a concept that would be. It's more of a it's a big. There's a whole sequence with mushrooms in it, and
it's horrible.
It's almost an acid trip film.
Very.
And my complaints about
surreal, psychedelic. Yeah,
I like it a lot, but my complaint would be the fact that it's not as much a movie as it is just like an artistic expression. It's like
correct.
It's about the sound, and it's about the whole atmosphere of it, which I think is very creepy at times. I mean, obviously, if you're bored by it, it's not something that's going to work for you. But I found it engaging, but partially because I love everyone involved so much. I care more about Michael Smiley because it's Michael Smiley. So I don't know. It's one of those. It's not a great movie. Like I wouldn't say that, but it accomplishes a lot and on the technical level. And I think you do get good. You do have some good characters in it, though. I just think they're a little bit muddled by just kind of how weird this film gets.
It does get weird. Yeah.
I mean, the whole acid trip stuff in particular.
Yes.
It gets confusing almost, even though it's such a straightforward plot.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, partially because it's intentional. It's supposed to be kind of nauseating almost, which isn't it can be a good thing, but it's not really.
Yeah, why do that?
But it's shot really well. The sound design is outstanding.
Sounds good, yeah. Sounds good. Yeah.
And I mean, I think you do have a really good lead performance from the character Whitehead. That's not obviously. I don't know the actor's name. I'm going to go blank here. I had it. Just
his name is Breers. It's very English.
Reese Shearsmith.
Breers Shearsmith. Yeah.
Very good in the film. He's one of the few characters that actually has an arc.
Like I said, you can see he was in Shaun of the Dead. Yeah. He was in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, World's End. So I mean, I know because I remember I saw him seeing him in Shaun of the Dead, but he was also in The Young Ones.
Yeah,
when he was younger too, and then
he's recognizable. Most of the people in this film are recognizable. None of them are stars by any means. Michael Smiley is one of my or I guess Julian Barrett would be probably the most popular person in this movie. But
I would say,
a lot of them are British actors though that haven't done a whole lot. But I think everybody's pretty good in it. I don't know. I also like Richard Glover, who plays his name. He doesn't have a name. His name is Friend in the movie. Lots of good stuff though. I mean, I think it's like I said, it's more of an artistic accomplishment than it is. Like it's one of those. It's a demo reel movie where it's like there's a lot of really good technical stuff, and I mean there is a story. It's not. It's not so much it's not about the story. It's about kind of the experience. There's a sequence involving a rope in this movie that I think is genuinely disturbing, and it's not something you can explain. I don't think. Like it's not, like it's just. Basically, it involves a man running out of a tent with a rope tied to him, and you don't exactly know. It's a ritual in the film. and I think it's done in slow motion, and it's terrifying to me. I think it just in terms of like it works on a visual and audio. What is the word for auditorial level? I don't know. Oral level.
Oral. AURAL.
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. It's a great sequence. I think. And like, so the movie has these scenes that I think just are amazing in that regard. But then there's a lot of, not meandering. I wouldn't call it that, because a lot of it does have a point, but it's just. It's not as tight as a lot of his other films. The story, it's only like an hour and a half, and it doesn't really have an hour and a half long story. So it's definitely a fault of it. It's not my favorite of his films, but I do like it a lot. I would say I'd like it more than Sightseers.
Interesting.
I don't know. All of his films have their merits. That's the filmography of Ben Wheatley. I'm a huge fan. Like I've said a billion times in this podcast. I would love for him to like start making bigger films. I would love for somebody to give him a horror film, I
agree with that.
Like a true horror film. See what he does.
Because if you're saying the other two are comedies, I would like to see what he do with a horror film.
Yeah, I mean, and so like, and I want to see more stuff from him. Field in England is not a good step in the direction in terms of like getting any kind of money to make movies, because that is, it's really it's as art house of a film as you can get. I'm not saying that in a pretentious way. That's what it is. It's not like it's not a marketable film. Yeah. And it could win some awards at festivals, so that's about it. So let's give him some money to do something else. That's all I gotta say.
Give him some bucks. See what he can do.
Obviously, Carlos hasn't seen all those films, so
no, I'm gonna watch Sightseers.
You can really only talk about
Sightseers. I want to see.
I think you'd like Down Terrace.
Down Terrace, yeah. If you lend it to me, I'll watch it.
Yeah. I just bought it, so I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
But that is Ben Wheatley, so he's our director of the week. And next week, I think we're going to do Spike Jonze.
Spike Jonze, yeah, we discussed that.
I brought over her for Carlos to watch today, and I think you've seen everything else of his.
Yeah, I think.
So we're going to go over the oeuvre of Spike Jonze next week.
Good, very good director.
And we like him a lot. And so that's Ben Wheatley, and we're gonna move on. I think we'll talk. I guess we're only at the 50-minute mark, so we can talk about Enemy, and then we'll move on to television.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So Carlos saw Enemy this week, which was on my top. You saw it twice. I like that. Even if you didn't love it, I don't know what you think of it. We haven't talked about it at all. I'm glad you watched it twice, though.
Yeah.
Or that you were interested in it enough to watch it.
I had to see it again. Like you said, the ending left me very cold, and I said, "What? Let me go see it again."
I watched it. I didn't see it in the theater. It didn't play here, I don't think, at all. I don't know. I didn't know about it. It was by the director Denis Villeneuve, who made Prisoners, which is a big release last year. And it was a huge success for the micro. It wasn't a micro budget movie, but it wasn't made for a lot of money. Yeah. And so it did really well considering. Enemy, though, kind of came out under the radar early this year, kind of late last year in some places, but. It's technically, most people have it on their list this year, as did I. I think it's outstanding. And I watched it a second time this week, actually, not knowing that you were going to even watch. I let him borrow it.
I did. I wanted to see it because Jake Gyllenhaal is amazing. I love him.
He's one of the best working actors.
Darko, one of my favorite films of all time.
You haven't even seen Nightcrawler yet, which might be his best role.
Which I found a new website where I can watch movies for free. Someone check that out. But
I bet that's not illegal.
Okay, so basically the opening and the ending are the same. The movie begins where it ends, and again, I didn't want to read anything about it. I didn't want to start looking at other people's.
It's a hard movie to spoiler, though. We did talk about that briefly.
Because I don't know. You do well with the description of the film. I guess I can jump in where need be, but the movie's only about 3 people. Jake Gyllenhaal, his girlfriend, who you love. What's her name? Greta Shar. What's her name?
I'm going blank.
Oh my God, from Francis Ha.
No, it's not Greta Gerwig.
That's not Greta Gerwig's girlfriend? Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Stop the madness.
You're wrong. That's not Greta Gerwig.
You're wrong than me. Enemy, here we go.
No, it's not Greta Gerwig.
What's her name then?
It is Melanie Laurent.
Is it?
And Sarah Gadon.
And Sarah Gadon's the other, wife. The wife.
And then obviously
Isabel Rossellini's his mom for 5 seconds.
And obviously in the film, basically the premise is this guy who's kind of going through the motions and just kind of like the cycle of life.
Oh, from Glorious Bastards.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay, go on.
Mm-hmm. She played the theater owner, right?
Yeah.
She's great. She's great in the movie. But and basically he's going through the motions. He's living in this like kind of crappy apartment. And he works as this is Jake Gyllenhaal I'm talking about. I don't know his name of the movie, to be honest. I'm a bad reviewer of this movie because I don't know his name.
Adam Anthony, and then
Jake Gyllenhaal also plays. I'll get to in the premise of the film. Basically, he works as like this college professor, and he's just kind of going through the motions of life. And this person he works with recommends this film for him to watch. He's like, I think you'd like this. You should check it out. He's like, oh, it's where there's a will, there's a way. And he's like, that's true. He's like, I love that. What Jake Gyllenhaal's like, that's true. It's like, no, it's a movie. It's like, I watched it and I remember liking it, is the line from the guy. So he recommends this film for Jake Gyllenhaal to watch, and Jake Gyllenhaal watches it. He's not a big movie guy.
Yeah, he's not a movie guy at all.
And there's a scene which I love. He goes to the movie store and he rents it, and there's like two things that you can actually see in it's Dogma, which is on the left.
Yes, thank you.
And a poster of Vertigo.
Vertigo,
which is great.
Because a lot of Hitchcock in this.
Yes,
no
a lot. It's
very,
especially in the text and your phone fell over.
Yeah, my phone fell. It's all right. Very Hitchcockian.
So he goes to the movie store and rents this movie, and he starts watching it, and in the film he sees this person in it that looks exactly like him.
Yeah.
And basically it drives him to go and find this person because the guy mentions it's a local film, so he's like, this person must live near me.
Yeah.
It's filmed in Toronto. It's in Canada. Is it Ontario?
It's Ontario.
Okay, yeah. Which is such a somebody mentioned this in the review. I think it was Red Letter Media. Just kind of how the city is so it's nameless in terms of like there's no, it's not recognizable.
Which where Hollywood goes to make all their movies on the cheap.
It's kind of like Houston. Like it just doesn't have a look to it that's recognizable, and it's perfect for this movie. Visual, it really fits in with this tone. But anyway, so he finds this person, and he becomes kind of obsessive about finding who this person is. And that's all I'm going to give you. Basically, he finds this person, looks exactly like him, and that's the movie. I think, especially after a second viewing, or I guess it was my third time watching it, I think this is one of the best movies of the year. I mean, it was on my top 10, but it should have been a little higher, I think, after watching it a second time. I think this movie, especially a second time through, gives you everything you need to I don't know. You have to see it twice, I think, when you watch this movie, unless you just hate it. Obviously, don't watch it.
And I didn't
don't watch
hate
a
it.
movie
I didn't hate it. I liked it.
I'm just talking to the audience.
Okay, yeah.
But it's one of those that I think definitely a second time it doesn't fill in all the questions you had, but you notice things that you didn't quite the first time. And
I don't know if this is a spoiler, but I have to ask you because I have to get it out there. Because hey, listen, I don't know how many comments you get on the page, but if somebody's got a comment finally,
it's about zero. Except for Dave White, who in my book, if we get Dave White to listen to this podcast, that's all that matters.
Need,
Carlos's phone fell.
Oh my God, I'm gonna stop doing that. But here, let me ask you a question.
Go for it. Right. Minor spoilers potentially. I don't know what the question is.
It might be spoiler. Okay, so he just said. We just told you, sees a guy look alike in the film, so we know that there's two people that look like. Was there a third?
No.
You sure? Then you need to watch it again right now, because after he meets his double, we see the motorcycle.
Maybe we are going to go into spoilers just so that
we have to, because after he meets his double, the motorcycle guy follows him away. How could it have been him twice? How could it have been the actor?
Well, okay, we're gonna spoil.
We got to.
All right, I'm calling this. Sorry, if you haven't seen the movie, we're gonna spoil the crap out of this. If you want to watch it, come over to my house. Come over to my house, and I will show it to you. We'll talk about this for hours. I love this movie. But yeah, so that's my review of it. If you're gonna turn this off, I love this movie. Go watch it. I think it's a great psychological thriller.
It is very psychological,
and it's shot really well. It's got like a yellow look to it.
I like that.
Really great cinematography. It's not by Deakins, who did Prisoners. I guess he did this before he did Prisoners, so I don't know. This is kind of a weird release, but
Yeah, they probably
great looking movie though. It's really dark, and there's a lot of slow movement to the way it's shot, and it's
Nicholas Boldock was the
cinematographer. Yeah, and like I said, it's shot in Ontario. Is it Ontario, right? Which Canada. It's just like this. It has like this bleakness to everything, and I think it just has. I don't know. It fits with the film so well. It's undescribable. And there's sequences where you see like the train lines, like for the zip lines where the trains run on, and it looks like spider webs.
Yes.
Which is just it's fantastic imagery. This movie is really great, I think. So yeah, that's my review of it. I think you liked it as well.
Oh yeah, no, I liked it.
I mean, you saw it twice.
I saw it twice because it was so good. I was like,
Carlos, we both like it. Go watch it. Turn this off and watch this movie. It's streaming, I think, on Amazon right now. It won't probably be on Netflix anytime soon, I don't think. But you can pick it up for like $10 on Blu-ray. So I think it's great. My parents watched it. My dad liked it a lot. My mom was she was knitting while doing it. This is not a movie you can like. This isn't a movie you can just be doing other stuff with. But because there's a lot of visual to it that you just totally like. I had to rewind it. I was like, Mom, you're missing stuff. Come on. It was frustrating as hell. But so we love the movie. Go watch it. So anyway, spoilers. Here we go.
Yeah.
There is not a third person. They are the same person.
Are you sure? Well, yes, but you know what I mean? It's like he meets with himself, runs into the wife, drives off, and there's the motorcycle dude who's already motorcycled up. Now, if
you mean the person that drives right past him? Is that what you're talking about?
Okay.
And looks at him, looks at him and then drives away?
The history teacher meets the actor, walks out.
In the hotel.
In the hotel, leaves the hotel, goes downstairs, gets in his car, and
Carlos keeps hitting the table.
And the motorcycle dude has been watching and drives past him. There's no way in hell the actor is the motorcycle dude. No way in hell.
What are you talking about? Because he leaves.
They both leave. They both. Well, no. The actor's still in the hotel. The history.
Yeah, there's just a shot of him where he just kind of looks at
the history teacher.
He looks at the envelope.
The envelope, yeah, and whatever. So the history teacher leaves. So even there, you're giving the actor more time to not being the guy in the motorcycle. So if the history teacher leaves and the actor's looking at the envelope, he goes downstairs, gets to his car, drives off, and we see the motorcycle rider watching him already. Then as he pulls out, he drives right past him.
Oh, is there a shot in the parking lot?
Yes. So if the guy in the motorcycle is the actor,
I didn't catch that.
You got to watch it again. So I said, wait a minute, there's a third? And then I said,
the problem with that is it doesn't make any sense.
Even though it's a psychological thriller, there's sci-fi angles in there if there's a third.
But if you're talking about somebody's subconscious, though, which is...
yes, that's spoiler. Now we're spoiling things saying that.
Well, we're spoilers.
Well, we already ruined it. But still, my point is this. Yes, it's all one dude in the end. But I'm saying that it's not just two guys. At that point, they introduce a third. Because if you're talking about
or it's just bad continuity,
super ego, and the id... The third one is the most aggressive and violent, just like the three.
That's interesting. I like that even more. Go. I don't know if that makes any sense in the rest of the context of the rest of the film, though.
But if we're talking about it's all one person, it's all about the mind.
Exactly. It can be. It can be
the ego, the super ego, the id. Those are the three things in the brain. So that's the third person.
Okay.
Because he's violent. He gets up on him the way he, I guess, I don't say rape his wife for one thing.
Yeah, which is really dark.
Yeah, and then she realizes the ring. And then then the ending is.
I do love that you never see that person's face.
Yes, yeah.
Which is awesome, and that shot where they he's following her. He's following Professor's girlfriend, which is actually the person he had an affair with that they referred to multiple times in the film. She's like, "Are you seeing her again?"
Yeah.
So it's all in his subconscious. That's told kind of out of sequence in the film,
and that's why I think you can get away with saying it's only two.
Yeah,
but. Like
that's interesting, though. I mean,
Psych 101, if you watch this movie, you're going to say, wait, no, Carlos is right. There are three. It's the ego, super ego, the id.
Okay.
And, of course, the super...
I don't know anything about psychology.
So I'm sorry. So if Jake Gyllenhaal teaches ego, and, of course, the actor is the super ego because he's got a big head, the id is the one that's, aggressive
about it. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So,
and that is a distinct characteristic that that the other two don't share. There is no aggressiveness.
Yeah, they're both kind of laid back dudes.
Yeah.
and they both want to meet each other, which is why
the only thing that I would say that wouldn't make sense with is the fact that when he dies, the one that goes he doesn't die technically. He get in the car crash. Technically, that's not. I guess the scar that's what happened. That's why he has the scar.
So you think he survived that shit?
That's what I think.
That car's total, though.
Yeah, but I mean that would be the only thing that would explain the scar if you're talking about like in terms of he survived, she didn't. Yeah. And then, but the only thing is you do hear on the radio. There's some things in it that I still don't fully understand.
Yeah, and I was listening to radio. Cloverfield stopped to say if he lived or he died, and they just say that the accident was really bad and that they did say she passed. Or, I don't know, I gotta hear that part again. But you might be right in that aspect.
See, when I watched it, I thought that person is dead, and so now he can become the professor, like wholeheartedly. Because the whole idea of the film is that this character wants, his wife is pregnant, and he has started this new career. He's basically given up on his acting career because of his wife and his mother's kind of request. There's a line in it where she's like, the mother says something about like, it's like your silly acting career. You're not going back to that, are you, or something like that. That's not the line.
Well, the mother is an actress as well. She has done stuff in the past. Yeah, if you know some posters in the background of her.
Yeah, and so we know like she kind of puts that whole the woman in his life have crushed his creative that's not a word, creative artistic expression. And there's a line early, and this is especially if you watch it multiple times, it's just blatantly obvious to a point that's kind of silly, especially considering the film still makes no sense the first time you watch it, at least. The line where he's giving the lecture in his class and he says the Roman Empire, they would, or not the Roman Empire, it was the Romans or whoever he's talking about, he said they would go and they would crush all creative and it becomes this cycle, and he says that he's like, remember this is important, it's a cycle, it's a never-ending cycle. So basically the concept is that he was this actor, obviously he stars in crappy roles and he's not great, he doesn't make it as an actor, and that's like, and so he gets his wife pregnant, and that kind of has to stop, and so he becomes this, and this is talking about the linear story, I believe. Obviously, I might be totally wrong about this, but basically, he becomes this college professor, and it's kind of like settling down, and it's like I got to give up on my dreams and become this, and so he views all the women in his life as these spiders, and that are trapping him in a web and consuming the creativity out of him almost, and that whole aspect isn't like abundantly clear in the movie, I don't think, and we don't know exactly when he goes to that underground place.
Well, the movie is the beginning, but he's supposed to be going at the end. Yeah, he's telling us that he's going to the club.
But it's the second key though. Remember, because that guy said they mailed out new keys or whatever. And so he says, he runs into the guy who works the door at the place he lives, and the guy's like, they said that they mailed out new keys, and I haven't gotten one yet. Like, he's like, I think I could maybe do something about that. Obviously, he didn't know what the guy was talking about. But and then he. Then we get the key. Maybe it is the first time. Maybe it is the second. We don't know. It's this big cycle of events. Regardless, basically, when he goes there, it unlocks it unlocks the actor in him again. And it cycles the whole thing, and he becomes. And so his wife the whole time is concerned about him. She knows he's sick, and there's that line where he's like. You know what I'm talking. You know what you're like. You know what's happening. And there's this look of fear on her face, and then the scene where he walks in, and she looks like a spider. It's obvious, and there's kind of this look of like, on his face, like it's just not going to change. And so there's this idea that he wants to be this actor, this person, this artist, and he can't because of the woman in his life, and he feels like it's the woman's fault that this is happening, and so there's this whole idea of the film about trying to be this other person, and so in his mind he created that other person. It really. And I can never say this in a spoiler-free review of it, or when I'm talking to people. It's Fight Club, essentially. and I think the beginning, and when I describe the movie, I would say it's this dude going through this rough, just kind of going through the motions lifestyle, like Tyler Durden in Fight Club, or Edward Norton's character, who is also Tyler Durden. Spoilers for Fight Club if you haven't seen Fight Club.
That's 10 years old. Fuck yeah. 15 actually.
And so I mean, there's this really great, kind of, there's actual motivation for all of the things that happen in this movie, and I think it's more clear the second time you watch it. It's still fairly confusing.
Yeah.
Going through the movie, I'm like, yeah, I got it. I know they're the same person. Let's do this. And then halfway through, you're like, oh my gosh, this is still just the timeline is really unclear. I think it's all there. I think it all makes sense. He's the same person that's created these 2, maybe 3 personalities. That would make sense. Yeah. And then when the car crash happens, it kind of woke him up. And like I said, that's probably not 100% correct. I mean, I could have butchered that, but I think it's a great movie. There's lots of love
here. Yeah, you really summed that up well, and I agree with it. And I really did. I loved it, and I remember when I first saw the Spider, I was like, what?
And it was terrifying.
Like, what's gonna happen now?
I watched it real late at night. I watched it, and I wanted to run out and go, "This movie's so great!" I went to my brother's room. And was like, "Julian, come on, bro, let's watch." I wanted to watch it again immediately after. I was like, "This is so good," and it's really thrilling the whole way through. And what I love so much about it is it could up until the very end. It could actually be 2 separate people.
Yeah.
So
you could do that.
So that's why I love the ending so much, because it's the first time where you go, oh shit, I didn't follow this. Especially the first time you watch it. I think it's almost more confusing the second time because you're trying to piece together everything with the knowledge of how it ends. And it's even more. You're just like, I don't know. I have to go online and find one of those diagrams with 40,000 different strings of events and things like that. But yeah, it's great. It's really good.
Yeah, so. I enjoyed it very much. I'm glad I saw that one.
I'm glad.
So 2 movies. Thank you for giving it. So that's 2 movies that he did of Prisoners and
both 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, so far.
10 out of 10 being the way I review movies would be like a school assignment. So if you give me something that accomplishes everything that was trying to do, it's 100.
Yeah.
So
like I said, and I've always told you, anytime you walk out of a movie discussing a movie, then the movie is great.
Working. Yeah.
It's the job, and like I said, for me to watch a movie twice in a day, I was like, what? So I got up at 8. Put it on, then at 10 o'clock said, what?
Yeah. And it's that's why I was so frustrated when my mother wouldn't pay attention. Or it wasn't that she wasn't actively trying to not pay attention.
My mother will do something else.
But I'm just like, no, you got to watch this. Come on, it's so good. And so, I think it's very, very good. We were going to get into television. We're already at an hour and 12 minutes.
Yeah.
I think I basically made a list of all the new things coming out this week, or not this week, but this upcoming month. We got, I guess we'll briefly cover it. We got, Archer season 5, Girls. Those both come out this week. I love both those shows. Parks and Rec, the last season is coming out. House of Cards is supposed to come out sometime in February, I think. And then same with Last Week Tonight, which is a great new show, I think. A great new show with John Oliver.
You like that show?
I like it a lot. It's
very
good.
A lot of raves now.
Well, it's because it's playing to YouTube.
YouTube, right?
Which is something that I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
Using social media to kind of promote a certain section of your show.
Yeah.
And he'll do these little snippets that aren't actually part of it, where he'll basically get back. He did one for New Year's where he got up and talked about why you shouldn't go to your cousin's house for New Year's or something like excuses to get out of having to go and be around people. And then you have Game of Thrones comes out season 5 or season 5. Yeah. Is it April? Did they announce it?
Well, late March, early.
It'll be it'll be at least April or at least March.
March 30th is always when they air it.
And then
last week of March.
Yeah, and I'm excited for that. It's gonna be awesome. And then Leftovers season 2, which not a great show, but an interesting show. I like not one I could watch week to week. That'd be my complaint. It's I think because of
I waited till it was over and then I watched it in a binge.
And it was really good. I think it
played better that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't watch it week to week. And then Louis is supposed to come back for season 5, but it's going to be a short season. I'm worried about that.
8 episodes.
If they're canceling it, I'm gonna be so upset.
I don't think. I think he's got so much on his plate. He's doing so much.
Yeah, he really is working too much.
A lot of people are fucking. They're giving him a lot of gigs, and he he can't keep up. But we'll see. I mean,
I hope he doesn't, because this is like I really think Louis is like a groundbreaking comedy in terms of just the formula for comedy.
And it's funny because I don't know if you follow
television in general.
He's had 2 TV series before this.
Yeah,
and
Lucky Louie on HBO.
Yeah, and then
something else that he
something
wasn't
on
actually
regular
in,
TV, and then this one, and this one is the
it's great.
I think it's so raw and well done, and he's come up with. Now, like it's smarter because it's simple things that he blows up, and then So I like Louis.
Like in a Seinfeld way, where you have like a little stupid thing that becomes a big deal, or you know, it's really an outstanding show. It's like studying like the fat man's subconscious. It's terrific. And then like Orange is the New Black is going to come out at some point this year, and Silicon Valley, which is HBO.
Yeah, you like Silicon Valley.
What's his name? Office Space. Mike Judge.
Mike Judge, yeah.
Great new show. One of their stars though passed away.
I heard that, yeah.
Which is really sad because he was great. But yeah, we'll get that. So like, I just love that these are all shows that we're going to get this year, and that doesn't even include American Horror Story, which is going to come back for a little bit.
Yeah, which is interesting.
But we'll get more of it though in October next year.
We talked about it, because this is the first time
they split it.
They split a season.
So weird.
Yeah,
I haven't been watching it week to week though.
Walking Dead style, but yeah, it was like normally they do 12 episodes and they're out. This time I think they're doing 2 more or 3 more.
Something like that. Yeah, it's like 3 more because normally they're 13.
Yeah, 13 episodes.
And so we're 10 episodes in. It's just weird.
It's just, but it's such a great.
I
mean, have you been following season 4?
No? Yeah, I'm caught up. It's
great.
It's one of the best seasons so far. I think season 1 is still my favorite, but it's great.
Season 2 is mine. But and then again we discussed the way they merged the 2 series together, which was genius.
Yep.
And we are, or at least I know I said, I don't know if you mentioned, I'm looking forward to seeing more of that.
Oh, yeah.
Where the whole universe connects with each other.
I hope they do that.
Yeah, because like I said, Covenant, season 1 and season 3 are within the same timeline.
And we will make it a point to review each episode the next couple weeks. Because I think it comes back this week, I think.
January.
Or definitely next week, if not this week.
I think it does, yeah.
So, I mean, we'll probably do reviews
of
that.
Is
obviously,
like
I was trying to get to an hour, but we're an hour and 16 minutes today.
Well, you always do an hour and a half. And I always say that when you say that.
Yeah, whatever. Enemy took like 15 minutes.
Such a great movie. And then
it's worth it. It's worth it.
You broke it down very well. You did a good job.
But yeah, so I mean, we got a lot of good television though to talk about. I'm going to be reviewing Girls each week. I don't know if you have access to it. I'm gonna do Girls. I love Girls. I think
I should pick something.
Terrific comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do Archer together.
Oh yeah, Archer. Yeah.
And
when does that start though?
Archer's this week. I think it's the 8th. Yeah, it's the 8th.
Good,
I have it written down.
I just got to set it.
Yeah.
And I forgot to tell Rhonda to set Agent Carter.
Yeah, so there's a lot. You could do that though, because I'm not going to probably.
No, you're not going to do that, but I wouldn't do that. I'll do something.
Once we start reviewing these, our podcast
is new, but it ties into Marvel.
We're gonna have to cut some movies out so we can get to television more often.
Yeah, right. Especially when it gets better. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to start doing some. I mean, we've been ever since we started the podcast. Most stuff has been wrapping up for the year, so we haven't had.
I know, right? Yeah.
We haven't had a show that we can both watch week to week. So starting this, we'll have a couple. We'll have Archer. I can't. There's no way
American Horror
Stories, but I'll definitely do Girls and.
I can do Girls, but I haven't
seen
all seasons of Girls. I don't think I'd dive into season 3 or 4 now.
4, yeah.
4, yeah. So
it's just gotten better though. It's awesome.
It's funny because
and it's become more popular.
It has.
It's like Adam Driver and stuff like that is a bigger deal now, especially because of Star Wars.
Star Wars,
I think it's great. It's one of the best shows on TV when it's on, even though it's a comedy about girls in New York, and I love it. It's great. So that's starting back up. I'm excited. And that's television, and that's movies and everything for the week of today's January 5th, right?
Yeah, January 5th. Good show, I think, today. We did really well.
Yeah, we did great, man. Yeah, such a great show.
So Dave's listening. He'll hear how well you did with the.
Yeah, hopefully Dave is listening. Shout out to you, bro.
But yeah, so I'm excited. Spike Jonze next week. It's good.
Yeah,
I love
Spike Jonze. He's gonna be our director of the week next week. But for the time being, I guess we can do our Netflix picks, which we're going to do quickly, pretty much. I mean, you said Kill List.
Yeah, I did.
Just do Kill List.
The Kill List.
Go watch Kill List. It's on Netflix.
Definitely watch it, yeah.
Ben Wheatley is the man, in my opinion. I think you'll love it. I think Field of England was... I wanted you to see Sightseers and Down Terrace first, actually, but whatever. Yeah, go see all of Ben Wheatley's stuff.
Definitely,
And... have a good one. I guess that I think
you guys. We'll see you next week with Spike Jonze and.
Go see Selma or Inherent Vice if you can.
Inherent Vice if you see before us. Tell us how you.
Because I guarantee you we won't see it by next week. I'd love to, but I'm not going to see Taken 3. That's not happening. I might go see Selma. We might do some reviews on that, but
Selma's opening up around here, right?
We'll have a lot to say though about Spike Jonze because both especially I gave him her, so you'll have seen everything. And
I've seen all the stuff. Yeah,
it'll be good.
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
All right, guys. You guys have a great night. Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye. Oh, that's nice.
Ooh, you had the last word. Or maybe I did.
Hold on, let me see this.
All right, later.